Greetings YouTube and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Bubble and today we're going to be talking about Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths and just kind of how it fits in Magic. There's a few new keywords, new abilities that are coming into the game, and so I want to give this as a sort of explainer, primer, if you will, to kind of get a few of the Q&A things out of the way to help explain kind of what the set's about and also what to look for when you're playing the game, how to play with these new cards. So without further ado, let's see what we're doing. First off, Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. You have huge creatures in this thing. It is a plane where it's a constant struggle between creatures which are constantly evolving and mutating and changing and adapting to things, and your human is just trying to get by and not get squashed like bugs beneath their feet. And they're doing okay, I guess. I don't know. Personally, I'd rather be just a giant beastie. So that's where it is, a very dangerous world. But also, some humans and some planeswalkers have found a way to form some sort of bond. There's actually a word like eluda, I believe they called it there, in some flavor text, with some of these creatures. And they managed to fight alongside them, so there is some synergy with the humans and the non-human creatures. Although it's kind of hard to come by, but when you get there, it's very, very strong. Okay, so now you have that. So one of the special things, which you probably already know about for the set, and I'm just going to tell you right now, Godzilla, right? Okay, spoilers, whatever. If you want to see them, I'm going to show all the Godzilla alternate artwork cards. They are fantastic, and I love them. So I'm just going to go through those very, very quickly. This is just an artwork thing, but goddamn, like, look at this. Anguirus, Baby Godzilla, Biollante, whatever the thing, Bioquartz. There's multiple Godzillas, by the way. Pardon me there. See, I'm so excited for Godzilla. Destroya, I think, probably looks the best. Dorat's kind of cool. Ghidorah, you know, so this is lovely things there. Just for the collector, if you love that, it's probably going to be pretty easy, a bit easier to get them digitally. They're probably going to be worth quite a bit, you know, otherwise, but damn, that's great. I do want to have a playset, well, not a playset, but just like one of each one, put it in a frame along with hopefully framing the alternate artwork. Or the Park Planeswalkers. Just something I wanted to throw in there, just so you know. So, yeah, and this is the box topper, for the record. This is your buy a box promo. Do not plan on opening exactly Godzilla, unless it's in a single pack on the top, and like, how'd that get there? Now, with a few of these, you may have noticed a few words here. Also, timing for this name is a little unfortunate. Anyway, like Rodon here has mutate. What then? Cycling. We haven't seen that in a while. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So, the first thing we're going to talk about, the first mechanic that I'm going to go over, is one that is, well, complicated. And that is, as you saw here with Dirgebat, mutate. So, geez. So you see Dirgebat is a bat. It is a 3/3 bat with a mana cost of 2 and 2 black. Converted mana cost of 4. It has flash, it has flying, and it has an ability that whenever this creature mutates, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. The way mutate works is you can play a creature regularly and just ignore it entirely, that's fine, or you can play a creature for its mutate cost. When you cast that, you need to have a non-human creature on the battlefield as a target. And as long as the thing resolves, you choose to put the new creature on the top or on the bottom. Keep in mind that mutate is just like casting a creature. It is not considered an instant or sorcery. It can be countered by things that counter creatures like Essence Scatter, but not by things that don't, like Negate. When you play this new creature, you choose whether to put it on top or on the bottom of the other non-human creature you're putting it on. Whatever creature is on the top, and you can mutate, you can have a huge stack of creatures, right? Whichever one is on the top dictates what the creature is. So if Dirgebat is on the top of the stack, this whole creature, this whole stack of things is Dirgebat. There is only one. Also keep in mind that when you mutate, it is not triggering any enter the battlefield abilities. The creature is already there. So let's see. So yes, the creature, the whole stack is dictated by the top card. So if this is on the top, Dirgebat is the name of the creature. This entire thing is a 4 converted mana cost creature with 3/3 power and toughness. The power and toughness does not increase, and is also a bat. There you go there. So that might be why, you know, say you have a bigger creature that you want to usually put the bigger ones on top. But say that you have a little creature but have some keywords, some abilities you want to put there. You can put that on the bottom so you don't weaken your creature at all, but you still give it some new abilities. How do abilities actually pass down? When you mutate, the only thing that is passed down from that you gather from the cards that are below the top card are the abilities there. So if Dirge Bat was underneath something, it would still give the creature, it will give it flash, which can matter. Having creatures with flash can be a relevant thing in some cases, even though they're already on the battlefield. It also gives the other creature flying. That is very, very significant. And whenever this creature mutates, yes, destroy target creature and opponent or planeswalker and opponent controls. Keep in mind that this ability triggers the turn you mutate it. If you just play Dirge Bat on top or on the bottom, it activates that mutate ability at the bottom there, that bottom one, to destroy something. So you don't have to play this and then mutate again. It works the first time you play it. And yeah, that's kind of how it works there. Also worth noting that when you mute with a stack of mutated things, if you bounce them, if somehow blink of an eye, whatever, if it goes back to your hand, even though the thing is one creature and you have like where all these other cards go, they all go back to your hand, the entire stack. So you could potentially, you know, bounce one creature and you pick up like 3 creatures, and you can play them individually however you want to. It's fine, whatever you want to do there. Also worth noting that if you exile them, they all get exiled, sent to the graveyard, they all get sent to the graveyard. I believe, although it may be incorrect now, so I'm pretty sure that I said that if it dies, only one creature actually is considered destroyed. The other cards are sent from the graveyard to the battlefield, certainly. Not from the battlefield to the graveyard. But the only one creature is considered to have been destroyed in that instance. Okay, so that's cool. What else? Flickering, yes. So if you flicker something, which is the colloquial term, I believe, for when something is put into exile and then returns to the battlefield later on. You can do this with something like Charming Prince or Thassa. There's some other abilities that do that, but those are the 2 big ones that we already have. If you do that with a creature that has mutated, the stack, all the creatures are put into the exile, and then when they return as individual creatures. The stack does not reform itself. And you will get any enter the battlefield abilities for those things. Not mutate abilities, but if it had some enter the battlefield things, that'd be pretty sweet. So that can be very disastrous, in particular if somehow you give them haste and manage to do this in the middle of a turn. Yeah. One more thing to note is that this kind of sounds a lot like you're putting like enchantments on things. What if as you're playing the mutate card, as you're casting the spell, the creature dies that you're targeting? Did you just 2-for-1 yourself? No, there is 2-for-1 protection built in, similar to Bestow from old Theros back when. If the card that you're trying to mutate on, if the target is no longer on the battlefield when this spell tries to resolve, the creature will be cast as normal, and it will count as a creature entering the battlefield and everything. So you don't just have that other potential 2-for-1ing and feel really bad, and you know, single target removal is at a premium now. It's still going to be pretty good, because if you make a big stack of mutated creatures, well, there's only one thing there, it dies to one thing. But it's not as risky, and if you play it for the mutate thing and get the mutate ability to go off, then you're pretty good. So there's that. I believe that explains a decent amount there. Feel free to put any questions or comments or whatever in the comments below. Any just other interesting facts I might have missed, let me know. So this is Dirge Bat. Ah, yes. There are some things where the mutate ability actually counts how many creatures are in the mutate stack. Just thought it'd be interesting to put that in there. Porky Parrot is also a lovely card. And what else here? Brokos is the only one, because obviously mutate is the only thing here. Isn't there like Surgeon Commander General? I don't know, whatever. But anyhow, this is the only one where you can play it from the graveyard using its mutate ability. You still have to play it onto another creature. You can't just play it on its own. It has to mutate onto something. But there is that. Also, one last thing to note, you can never, in old world formats, you can never mutate onto a changeling, because the mutate target has to be a non-human creature. It can be a token, doesn't say non-token creature, whatever kind of creature, we don't really care as long as it's not human. And changelings are always humans. Okay, I believe that covers mutate. Going forward. Oh, also, if you play things for the mutate, the converter mana cost, the mana cost of the spell, everything is dictated by the thing in the top right corner. So even though you play the mutate ability, that says, like, considered a separate casting cost. An alternate cost. This is a good one. The converter mana cost of Porky Parrot is 4. Even if you try to play it for the mutate ability that costs 3 for the mutate cost, it is still a 4 mana spell. Okay. The other thing we have that's kind of new is Companion. If you like Commander, this isn't really going to be too new. If you aren't familiar with Commander or Brawl, it might be something fresh for you. So, Companions are new to the set. That's where the humans and the non-humans bond, you being the human, unless your dog is playing the game, in which case that's adorable and also probably worth some money, but mostly adorable. But at what cost? The cost for the companion is listed under the little companion thing there, under the first line. So in this case, for Gyruda, your starting deck contains only cards with even converter mana cost. So what does it mean having a companion? Let me go over that first. In order to actually get any value out of that thing, the companion goes in your sideboard. If you are just playing best of one in Arena, you still should be familiar with what a sideboard is. If you're playing in Paper, that's just a card outside of the game. And you can think of this as having an extra card in your opening hand as long as you fulfill the companion requirement. And you reveal it to your opponent at the beginning, and they'll know, and you don't have to have your opponent go through and check and make sure every single card in your deck is even, because as soon as you play something that's odd, your deck is like invalid, and then it's like some sort of infracture there. But it's just not really going to happen. There are a few cases where you might just be like, hey, Scout's Honor with a few cards, but not too many. So it's really not a huge, issue of trust there. But the benefit that you get from having your starting deck only containing, even mana cards, in this case, is that as soon as you get 6 mana, you have the option to play Gyruda. That is always available to you. It's almost like having an 8th card in your starting hand. However, it can't be, thought seized or anything like that, or thought erasured. It's just there. So it's a very, very powerful effect. Imagine starting your game with an extra card in your hand. To a degree, right? Now, what if you don't want to have all even mana costs? That's fine. You could still play Gyruda as a regular creature and still get that second ability to go off. When it enters the battlefield, each player puts the top 4 cards alive into the graveyard, blah, blah, blah. It's still a regular creature. So you could do that, or you can do the companion just to always have access to it. You can also have 1 on the sideboard and 3 in the main deck. You cannot have 4 in the main deck and then 1 on the sideboard. That's too many copies of a card. One more thing worth noting is that this says your starting deck contains only cards with even mana cost. The restriction, or the requirement for the companion, only applies to your starting deck, and this also only applies to playing best of 3. So, after game 1, where all your cards do fulfill the requirement, your sideboard, you can sideboard in and out whatever cards you want. You no longer have to fulfill that requirement in order to have Gyruda be your companion. Pretty cool. So say there's some really nice odd cost cards that you want to play with this guy, but you just can't quite get there. Say you really want to play that Tomebound Lich, or you really want to throw in a Risen Reef, or Oro, or well, Euro costs 3. Then you can in game 2 and game 3 if you didn't win game 1. But yeah, you can play that in subsequent games, just not the first one. So keep that in mind. If you go into game 2, it's like, wait a minute, that's an odd cost card. Well, yeah, it's game 2. Now going forward, I think I just wanted to see, just have all the companions. I should have been cycling through these. Just show the requirements are different. So like this one says your starting deck, that's all your starting deck, has only even converted mana cost. This is a very strange one where it has each card has no more than 1 of the same mana symbol. Which is rather odd, and I don't like this card at all. But just going through here, this restricts the types of creatures you can have. So each creature is a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast card, but you can still have whatever non-creature cards in your deck. So non-creature spells, you can have whatever instants and sorceries and planeswalkers. No restriction there. Cool, a little bit more relaxed there. Karuga just wants to see big things. So as long as your starting deck has only 3 or more cost cards other than lands, you're good to go. What else here? Loris is one of the few, it might be the only one, where the companion requirement doesn't actually fit. You cannot put Loris in a deck that has Loris as a companion, because it breaks its own rule. It's still in the sideboard, it's not your starting deck, but just a little note there. This one only wants you to have really cheap cards, or cheap permanents. You can still have instant and sorceries, be higher up there, but the permanents gotta be low to the ground. Lutri. This actually reminds me that these can be played aside from Lutri, because it was immediately banned in Brawl and Commander. So there we go. But Lutri basically gives you like the Highlander thing. Each thing has a different name. But we'll go into this. Say you really want Obosh in your commander deck. Say it's perfect, I have this thing and it doubles things and it doubles things. You can absolutely have a commander, excuse me, and a companion in your commander deck. But you do have to make sure that both requirements are met. Basically, your commander still dictates the color identity, so the companion has to be of that color identity, and the companion also dictates how your deck kind of has to work. So you have to have a commander deck in this case with only odd converted mana costs and lands, and your commander also has to be black and red. And it could be more than black and red too, but black and red have to be two of the colors in its identity. Alright, bloop bloop bloop. Umori says each non-land card in your starting deck shares a card type. So that means a really popular thing now is all creatures. You can also have all artifacts, and artifacts can be artifacts or equipments, artifact creatures. You know, there's a good variety in artifacts. That's why people like to do that. Let's see. Your starting deck contains at least 20 cards more than the minimum deck size. That's an interesting one. So, hello, 120 card commander, right? Or more notably, you're probably going to be seeing this in limited because the difference between 40 and 60 is sizable. You know, it's 2/3 versus 60 to 80, which is more of like a quarter. Is that how that works? Something. You know what, math? I'm tired. It might be wrong, but I feel like that's fine. 40 to 60 is times 1.5, whereas 60 to 80 is times 1.25, right? No, because 20 is a third of that, so it's 1.3333. So yeah, all right, gotcha. All right, and the last companion, I believe, is each permanent card in your starting deck has an activated ability. So I'm just showing you the suite of things, the variety of companions. Okay, moving forward now. Now we're on to cycling. So the way cycling works, oh my god, did I forget a card? You know what, I'm just gonna throw it in here at the end of the time, trust me. With Rangoon Crystal. This is a good example of just a card. Cycling can be on any kind of card. It can be on lands, artifacts, enchantments, sorceries, creatures, whatever. And the way it works is it says cycling, it has a cost next to it, can be mana. In this case, all the cards are, all the cyclings are mana costs, although in previous sets they have been different costs, such as maybe sacrificing things or paying life. Street Wraith, hello. So to cycle Rangoon Crystal, you would pay 2 mana, discard this card, and draw a card. Say you're late in the game, you already have 11, 12 mana out on the board, you don't want to get a mana rock. Cool, I'm going to pay 2 mana, discard this thing, get something else. Awesome. That's very, very nice. Let's see, what else is there? It's worth noting, this can be done at instant speed, but it is not in itself a spell. You're using the ability of a card, essentially. So this can be done through Teferi, and through, you know, little Teferi. And as far as Narth is concerned, you can cycle once during your opponent's turn each time. Yeah, so it kind of works that way too. It really helps to smooth out games. If you're playing Arena in best of 1, you can play more cards that might usually just be for specific matchups, and if you're not playing against that deck, cool, I'll cycle it away. Versus in best of 3, you could still play some cycling cards, and it just helps make sure that things that might not be that great in the situation, say you get this card really late again, you cycle it away. Some cards actually care about cycling, so in this case of Drannith Healer, whenever you cycle another card, you gain 1 life. Other effects have that sort of things, other things target cycling cards, so it's just worth noting that there are more cycle synergies than just having cycling as a whole thing and drawing a discard. And I believe, oh, here's another one. Some cycling cards actually get effects when you cycle them. Not just like, you know, things triggering like that, but when you cycle it, you do this ability. Sort of like another mana cost, almost. So you could play Shark Typhoon as a 6 mana enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you make flying sharks, and it's crazy, right? Or you can cycle it for whatever mana you kind of have on hand, and you make 1 shark. Worth noting again, this is an instant speed sort of thing, so you can do that at the end of your opponent's turn. And you know, it's a flying shark, so maybe you just do it at the end and you win the game that way, who knows? But that is something else that you can do. Let's see here, and this is a specific case, I believe. Yadaro has a very long thing that basically says, whenever you cycle Yadaro, it goes back into your library, and once you've cycled him 4 times, it actually gets put into play. Just another effect there to watch out for. So it's very, very nice. I love this card. I think this card is fantastic. It's the fastest turtle you ever saw. Trample haste. But there's another thing to note before cycling. And I believe, yep, hold on. I'm going to, on the fly, put an image on the thing. So if you would just bear with me for a second, I'm tired, but I'm going to make this work. I do know exactly what I'm looking for, so that's very, very nice. I am looking for Crystalline Golem, because, or is it Crystalline Giant? Because I do want to talk about counters. Let's see, not gold. I'm looking for, here we go. Okay, and Crystalline Giant. Wonderful. Okay, we'll just take that and put him over here and pretend like this was here the whole time. Cool. So this is a wonderful example of how they're adding keyword counters, essentially. So previously, there would just be a card that would just say Vigilance, you know, and maybe if something got Vigilance, it would say, you just have to remember, hey, this thing gained Vigilance through this effect, and whether it lasts for the turn, which was the most often case, or maybe it lasted forever, you just have to kind of keep in mind. Now, there are counters to keep track of this, and they're kind of spreading them out a little bit. Crystalline Giant is a good example of that, of just how many counters there are. He can get any number of things from Flying, First Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. And +1/+1 counters. Let's see, is that all of them? I believe that are all. Flying, Trample, Vigilance, Lifelink, Menace. Yeah. So that's that's a lot, right? Those are all the things that can happen. I do believe that in the packs that you'll open, maybe as an alternative to promo cards, not promo cards, but like promotional ad cards, you know, tokens, then they're actually going to give you little punch out things that have the counter things on them, so it can help you keep track of what's what. And all the counter means is that that creature that it's on has that ability, has that keyword ability. If there is a lifelink counter on your creature, it has lifelink. If there's a hexproof counter on it, it also have hexproof. Pretty nice, pretty self-explanatory, pretty intuitive. Also keep in mind, you can proliferate those counters. Aside from the +1/+1 counters, not really sure why you would, but you can. And I believe if you have some older cards that remove counters from things, they can also be removed, but I don't think there are many, if any, really, in this set, so don't worry about that. And there are a few things I care about counters, but those are largely in previous things. Poison is also a counter. We're not going to talk about that, even though the background artwork kind of looks like a poison theme. So that should do it for Ikoria, Lair of Behemoths. Let me go ahead and just remove image. Oh god, not that image, the wrong image. Oh no, slideshow. There we go. Okay. So thank you very much. Feel free to let me know if I missed anything. Feel free to check out my card reviews. I reviewed every card. Worth noting that the multicolored, monocolored, and land is about 2 hours long. The rest of them are each about an hour, going through each single color. So if you like that, feel free to check it out and see what you think, see what I think about them. And if you want to see some gameplay, feel free to look at my Twitch thing. You can just pop by, say hello. If you want to drop a follow, you know what, that's fantastic. If not, it's nice to have you there. Either way, thank you for watching my video. And until next time, good night or good morning. But as always, good luck.